Call meeting to order. Roll call, Carrie, please.
Burns.
Here.
Legislator Sharpton is excused. King.
Here.
Hauser.
Here.
Lashos.
Here.
Lehman.
Here.
Mowerhand. Here. Mosier.
Here.
Osborne.
Here.
Dahlmo.
Here. Please stand for the invocation and pledge the flag. We are here to make decisions for our community. May we use only our best skills and judgment, keeping ourselves impartial and neutral as we consider the merits and pitfalls of each matter that is placed before us, and always act in accordance with what is best for our community and our fellow citizens. Flag. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The minutes of the July 3rd, 2018 meeting have been distributed and stand approved. Report of the Rules and Legislation Committee for Rule 6. Here.
The Rules and Legislation Committee has met and recommend to waive the rules to allow action on late resolutions.
Motion. Brian, second by Andrea. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Next, we are going to present recognition pins to employees with multiple years of service. We appreciate the effort and dedication that these employees give to this organization, both individually and as a team effort. It's what keeps us efficient and productive, and we thank you for your dedication. So, Chris.
On behalf of the board and the county manager, we thought in addition to recognizing your anniversary, your longevity threshold, that maybe we ought to bring you up in front of the board and present you with a little token. We have a pin, it's the Lewis County logo, and it has the number of years of service. Just to explain why some of you were chosen and others weren't, it's all triggered on your anniversary date and eligibility for longevity. So if some of your coworkers aren't here, it's because they fall within that July to July window, and they will be recognized next year, and we're going to continue this tradition going forward, okay? All right, first of all, we'd like to recognize those who have met a milestone of 10 years. If you would come up and line up here, the chairman would like to give you your pin and congratulate you. Jeffrey Suter from Buildings. Peter Orze. Warriors. I'm not the only one who can't get that right. Mary Failing from the County Attorney's Office. Tim Widrick from Codes. Ramona Carpenter and Keisha Davis from Social Services. Daniel Reed and Mark Stade from Highway. Douglas Nagy from IT. Nicole Adams, Brett Cronizer, Ray Ortlieb, Luann Schaefer, Lee Tonashini, all from the Sheriff's Department, and also Deborah Lawrence. She wanted to thank the board. She couldn't be here today, but she thanked you for her recognition. And Bruce Rogie from Solid Waste.
Chris, I gave Larry the 10-year pin.
Okay, great. Okay, now we'd like to recognize those who hit the milestone of 15 years. Penny Mosier, Bernadette DeSantis, Tracy Pate, and Amanda Waugh from DSS. Susan Kulzer from Planning was unable to be here today. Renita Schaffner from the Sheriff's Department.
Particular.
This is tough. Learn how to count. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, we only had one employee that hit the 20-year mark, and that is Wayne Farney from the Highway Department. For 25 years from DSS, Catherine Garrido, Denise Hall, Sherry Ramos, and Sheila Zeri. From the Sheriff's Department, Thomas Duback. For 30 years, Sherry Duffer from the County Clerk's Office, Tori Duffer, I'm sorry. Human Resource Manager should get people's names right, and I apologize. Tori Mashaw from DSS, and Tina Stanford from OFA.
She started when she was 5. That's right. Thank you.
Just so you know, I have pins for 35 and 40 when those people hit those thresholds. You're all encouraged to stick around to hit that threshold. I have pins that go that high. So thanks for coming today. Appreciate it. Thank you. Hope to see you all.
Probably cost them
Okay, that we'll move on to privilege of the floor. Is there anyone that would like privilege of the floor in the audience? Are you raising your hand for privilege, Sheriff?
If I could, sir.
Sir?
know I came here last month, I brought this up again, but I want to bring it up again now also. Legalization of marijuana for recreational use in New York State. I'm still very against it. I'm very concerned. I hope that the legislators are very concerned as well. And I'm hoping that along with the county attorney and district attorney, that you'll show your opposition against the governor's push for this. I think the reasoning behind it is absolutely illegitimate. It's been proven in an article that was put out last week that it's not just about legalizing it for experimentation for medical or medicinal purposes. It stated last week in an article that is for the revenue, and then the second article was for the disproportionate incarceration of the African American population in New York State. And they feel that by legalizing it, this will go away. Well, that's not true, and we all know it. So I'm hoping that you'll stand together strong and make a proposition in Lewis County that we will not allow any dispensaries to come into business in the county. If they decide to legalize the use of marijuana for recreational use, people will still come here and smoke and they'll live here and everything else. But I think if we show as a concerned population that we're not going to allow dispensaries to sell it to people who are above the age of 21 and ruin the next generations to come again, it would be a good stance for us. So I just want to show my opposition again and hope that you'll work with me against the legislation for legalization of marijuana. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Larry, can I ask you a question quickly?
Yes.
And I'm curious to know, the state of Colorado, is there any hard research been done on what their crime rate and all that has had? And I'm curious to hear, and I'm assuming that that's one of the main reasons why you're against it, because we've always been taught, and the scientific research says that the marijuana will probably lead on to other harder drugs and like that. But I'm curious to know if there's some hard data right now yet, and I realize it's only been 3 years since they've done it, as far as like influence while driving, going to work. I know with the federal government, it's a big problem. A lot of people can't get federal jobs out there because of the drug test. So I didn't know if you have heard, or you have access to the information that I don't. I didn't know if you had if they've come out with any hard facts on that yet.
They have. I'm going to speak just briefly on it, and let Ms. Fraley talk some more on the facts of that. In regards to the Sheriff's Association, both of our conferences the last few years, we've had delegations come out from Denver, Colorado, including city managers, county attorneys, district attorneys, police officers, that have spoke about the rise in crime, the rise in automobile accidents, the rise in child abuse, the rise in homelessness, the cost to the counties and to the state in regards to getting rid of the we want the little squalor home settlements they put up the homeless do. Just several things, but you won't hear the mainstream media. You won't hear it. Right. They don't report it. They won't report it. And if you go to those places, look at the local news and things there, you'll find out that this is what's going on. So it's definitely detrimental to our society.
And you're getting information that we aren't hearing, so that's why I asked you that.
Yep. And it's common sense too. We're throwing common sense out the window. Like you said, we've all been taught all the way back to our grandparents. It's not good for you. I don't give a darn if people think they have the right to do it. How about the rest of us have the right to be safe? The right for us to see our children grow up and have a good life. Not going to see it. Not going to see it.
Appreciate
it.
it.
Do you get any information on what we need for information as far as building the resolution from those two that you want us to support?
Yes, and I can get that for you next at our Ways and Means Committee.
Okay, appreciate it, and then send a copy to Joan too. Appreciate it.
You can do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to echo what the sheriff just shared from a community services perspective, and also tying it back to Leanne Mosier's presentation this morning. And when you look at something as a system, and you're looking at the end result of what she's facing and the need behind the criminal task force, as well as the hype that you're seeing on the media. In regards to the other states that have enacted this, there's only really 3 or 4 years of data on the books. And I can tell you that in addition to the revenue that people are touting, is that the communities are left to deal with the fallout. And marijuana, like alcohol and tobacco, has the propensity to be abused. And for some people, they just can't handle it. I can tell you from a state perspective, is that I am not seeing, as they're talking about rolling this out and how the benefits outweigh the costs, that we're not seeing from a treatment standpoint, whether the medical treatment or behavioral health, enhancing of our funds to cope with those that aren't able to do this. As well as the fact that we all know that people don't follow the rules. So in addition to the impact of those that fall under the criteria of using it recreational, 21 years and above, these states are now seeing an increase in overdoses in children because of how this is marketed in regards to how it is consumed, whether it be food, something fruity. They've had, one state reported a 400% increase in marijuana overdose in children. And that's because they see a little gummy bear that's got marijuana in it and they eat it. So again, I guess I just want to encourage everybody as we go forward and think about the short-term and long-term advantages to having this kind of revenue source, is that our communities are going to have to cope with the fallout.
Thank you.
Penny?
Hi.
And I've been on a 2-week tear about this, I'm going to tell you right now.
I just wanted to make a couple quick comments on the same subject that the sheriff and Pat also discussed. The State Commissioner of Health released a report at the governor's request regarding regulated marijuana rather than using the word legalized. I personally find a lot of fault in this report, but I encourage you to read it for yourself and ask questions. Certainly you can direct those questions to me if you'd like, or to Pat, and we can get answers for you. But I felt personally it's one of the most biased reports I've read. I know Dr. Zucker was put in an untenable position politically to come out with that report. At our New York State Association of County Health Officials last week, most local health department officials are opposed to regulated marijuana. However, they all need to read the report, and I think we're going to end up feeling we've been put in between a rock and a hard place of having to support the State Department of Health and what we feel needs to happen locally. But I also agree that this is not a good move for our community on many fronts, but we can certainly keep discussing it and get into more detail. I also feel that we may be trying to hold back a tidal wave on this. So, but we need to have our eyes open, and we need to understand the health consequences, the financial consequences. Yes, it's going to look really good, and all of our eyes are going to shine when we see the dollars, but we need to look at what the costs are going to be for our children and for our taxpayers, because Pat's going to be coming back and asking you for a lot more money for treatment programs and law enforcement and a number of other things. So, but I just wanted to add my 2 bits to my colleagues here on that. Thank you.
Could we get a copy of that report?
Yes, it's very long. It's like 100 pages.
Oh, never mind.
But I can send the link. Yes, but I'll send the link out to you. I'll send the link out to through Terry to all the board members. Okay.
Thank you.
You got plenty of time.
Is there a pushing
Joan, a question on that then. Okay, say if Cuomo ends up getting his way and that legalizes it, can we put local laws in our county that can go against that? I mean, I know that we can make local laws, can't we? No different than a village can make a law saying they're a dry town like that. Can't we do that?
Generally speaking, we can.
Okay.
Whether or not we're gonna step on somebody's constitutional rights, we would have to look at the language of whatever bill they pass. Maybe we can regulate who can open a business here or something like that. So there may be ways that we can pass some local laws where somebody's going to be discouraged from.
Okay.
Brian, typically what communities that want to go that route in states that have approved this, they try to go at the zoning aspect of it.
Zoning aspect.
So that would give.
I mean, I would understand like with the zoning like that, like for the manufacturing place here would be. I would think that we'd be able to succeed in that area.
Or opening a, like they have in Colorado, a storefront that sells it. We may be able to zone that out.
The same way we've been able to tighten up our zoning for other types of undesirable businesses.
Thank you all. Anyone else like privilege of the floor? If not, presentation of communications and notices, Terry.
Yes, Development Authority of the North Country Executive Director James Wright addressed an annual report to the board chair on their activities over the past year. He highlighted efforts for single-stream recycling, e-waste collection for Lewis County that continue at no local cost, and household hazardous waste collection day for an aggregate expense of $38,000 on behalf of the county. The mattress recycling pilot project removed 149 mattresses from the landfill during its first 2 months. The authority assists with projects to further infrastructure, housing, and telecommunications. Their staff work with Village of Harrisville officials to conduct an efficiency study resulting in their dissolution into the town of Diana. Progress continues on the Lions Falls remediation and redevelopment project and assistance to administer the New York State Department of State's Brownfield Opportunity Area Grant for Lions Falls. A book debinding machine enables diversion of thousands of hardcover books from the waste stream. These collective initiatives resulted in the authority's recognition by the New York Department of State with the Best Partner Award for their work to help municipalities share services and improve efficiencies. The board also acknowledges receipt of resolutions from the Adirondack Park Local Government Review Board and the Adirondack Association of Towns and Villages to request suspension of demolition of the Gooley Club Camp on Third Lake of the Essex chain, pending further review. The sporting camp has been in continuous use since 1866 and has made major economic and social contributions to the surrounding towns. Suggestions include repurposing the camp as a ranger substation, an interpretive educational center, or as a necessary link between the Indian Lake and Newcomb for the proposed Hamlet to Hut program. And that concludes communications.
Thank you. Reports of county officers and departments.
Yes, legislators have received copies of the Treasurer's July report and the July 24 Highway and Solid Waste Audit reports. And that's complete.
Thank you. Reports of standing committees. We'll start with John, Social Services, Office of Aging and Youth.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The youth group is going to help sponsor the Lewis County Night Out. That's Friday, September 7th, from 5:30 to 7:30 at the fairgrounds. The Office of the Aging, Kelly is still looking for someone to make our meals on wheels. She's not having very good luck. She has a meeting Thursday, I guess, with the sheriff, you said, and hopefully that'll pan out. DSS, the summer youth program's in full swing. They have 39 youth working this summer for them. This program will end on August 17th. The heat cooling is still open. That ends in August. There's 73 applications right now for that. And the heat clean and tune for furnaces is open, and there's 81 applications for that. And I have 2 motions, sir.
Go ahead.
Motion to authorize DSS Commissioner Jennifer Jones to provisionally refill a senior social service program examiner due to pending retirement.
Moved by John, second by Tom. Discussion. Favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And the second motion is to authorize refilling a full-time provisional social service program examiner due to a potential promotion.
Moved by John, second by Ron. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
That's my report, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Moving on to Randy, Taxation, Elections, Information Technology.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. With regards to taxation, it's pretty obvious school tax processing is about to begin, so those will be going out right after Labor Day, I'm assuming.
Great news.
Exactly. Adam, do you have anything? I didn't get a chance to talk with you this morning prior to with regards to the broadband.
Yeah, so they've recently lit towers up in Harrisburg, Copenhagen, and then Lowell on Number 3 Road. So they did a lease with American Tower. They're not county-owned towers, it's a private-owned company, so I know they're advertising pretty heavy on the radio for those areas. So if you know people that are, desiring service in those spots, they should be available, now. So it's good news. They're moving forward. It's taken a while, but they're making progress.
Thank you, Ed.
Once Spectrum gets forced onto the state line, we should have a big toll there.
That should help. Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Randy. Any questions for Randy? If not, move on to Brian, County Officers, Veterans, Junkyards, HR.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to start off, I have a motion here to authorize Human Resource Director Chris Bulio to refill part-time personnel assistant position effective immediately.
Moved by Brian, second by John. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay, so I wasn't at our committee meeting for junkyard veterans the other day, but Stephen gave us his quarterly report, so I'm just gonna throw some numbers at you. So total disability compensation payments within the county were $275,467. Pension payments were $47,379. Educational payments to veterans were $60,932. Vocational rehab payments were $4,297. There was 31 healthcare enrollments. So the total funds that were into the local economy here in Lewis County for the second quarter of this year were $388,076. I'm on the Cooperative Extension Board, in which Michelle's here. She'll probably yank my head off because I have not been able to make any of the meetings here for the last 8 months because we've been working up to Tupper Lake and everywhere. So, but I do have some of the stuff that they've been working on. So and I didn't really realize it, and I guess I didn't pay that much attention when Greg was on the board and some of the stuff. But this is some of the stuff that they're doing at Cooperative Extension. This is just some of the training and meetings that these people go to. Volunteer management, their staff meetings, the legislative meetings, 4-H district meeting, orientation for junior superintendents, project learning trees, board of directors meeting, agriculture in the classroom, webinars, livestock committee meetings, horse advisory committee meetings, small animal barn cleanup, marketing 4-H, program committees, risk management webinars, Fiber Festival, leader meeting for the fair booths, and then the state fair, which they're probably pretty busy with the state fair right now, aren't you, Michelle? So, workshops and programs, communications institute, teen council, career explorations, junior super orientation, 4-H evaluations, library programs. They're involved in a lot of things that I don't think that the public really understands how much they are. I did want to make a note, we have the one program that we contract with them to do for us for DSS. It's the parenting and family development, and I thought you would be interested to know. Right now, Kelly Kuntz is working with 18 families. 6 families are working to get their children out of foster care. Remaining families had children that are close to being closed out by the DSS. There's a family that had their children return after 2 months. And there's 4 families that are struggling with substance abuse that they're working with. So, I think that program with Cooperative Extension, Kelly does a great job with that. And she had the last meeting the meeting I went to last August, I can remember she had a really touching story about how she reached the one family and stuff. So Kelly really puts her heart into it. They do a great job up there, so I'd like to thank them for that. And that would be all that I have in my report. So.
Any questions for Brian? If not, thank you, Brian. Moving on to Jerry, Ways and Means, Buildings and Grounds.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to do a motion to authorize Supervisor of Buildings and Grounds, Matt O'Connor, to refill a vacant full-time HVAC systems technician effective immediately.
Moved by Jerry, second by Tom. Discussion? In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you. And as we've heard this morning, a presentation from the DA and some of the sheriff deputies and investigators, we need to figure out how we're gonna fund this if this is what we choose to do. I mean, there's a little bit of money, like Brian pointed out, in contingency, but that doesn't guarantee next year. So I think as we progress along, we need to try to find the funding in the budget. And then I guess the next question is, if we can't find it in the budget, are we willing to pass it on to the taxpayers? So as we progress along, I'll be having those questions for you as far as how we're gonna fund it. I mean, we're talking about over 3 years, a rough figure is about $270,000. So that's all I have, Mr. Chairman. We'll proceed from there. Thank you.
Any questions for Jerry? If not, thank you, Jerry. Moving on to Tom, Public Health, Community Services.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The community services, I'd like to start out with Lewis County Community Service Sheriff Carpinelli and the Lewis County Sheriff's Department are working with Jefferson County Community Services and Sheriff's Department, beginning the planning, the discussion to provide services to inmates currently incarcerated who have substance abuse problems. These services will be provided by Corrido Community Center. Something coming up here in the future, United Way of Northern New York has been supporting valuable work for nonprofits in Lewis County by encouraging citizens to give, volunteer, and advocate. One example is the Renee Beyer United Way Fund, which was established in 2013 in memory of Renee Beyer, a former planner for Lewis County. United Way also supports many Lewis County agencies such as the Volunteer Transportation Center, Credo Community Center, Transitional Living Services, Lewis County Opportunities, and the Northern Regional Center for Independent Living. This year, the United Way of Northern New York is set to tee off its inaugural golf ball drop, where $4,000 in prizes will be given away. The event will serve as a fundraiser for United Way's nonprofit partners in Lewis County who need aid with various expenses that serve the community. The event, which will be held on September 7th at Cedars Golf Course on East Road in Lowville, will charge $10 per golf ball and hopes to raise $5,000 for the yearly grant budget. United Way typically gets $65,000 in requests, but unfortunately is unable to fund all of it. You can help support our community by purchasing a golf ball. Tickets can be purchased from Pat Fralick, 376-5858, or Penny Moser, 376-5411. Didn't say in here, but on the golf ball drop, it's set up that the ball that hits closest to the hole will win $3,000. Second place is $500. Third place is $250, and the ball that falls the furthest from the hole will be $250. And again, that's $10 per ball. Public Health just recently I seen a notification out where there was a rabid drop to help prevent rabies for some of the wild animals. That's something that they've done a couple times this year. And then I've also got a motion here that motion to authorize Public Health Director Penny Ingram to refill a per diem nurse due to an impending October retirement.
Moved by Tom, second by Ron. Discussion? In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And that's my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Tom. Any questions for Tom? If not, Ron, Economic Development, Planning, Forestry, and Parks.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, I stopped downtown. They've started construction on a new restaurant down there by the Community Savings. And we're remodeling the interior of that old building. Looks like it's coming along pretty nice. Not exactly fast. What their plans were as far as having that open. I talked to them, didn't know, but just thought I'd let people know that that's progressing. And other than that, I have nothing else to report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ron. Any questions for Ron?
That restaurant, he's the one that has a place in Old Forge.
That's what I understand,
right?
yeah.
Maybe we can buy a block ticket for pizza for,
I was thinking more
board
clams.
meetings. Clams. Thank you, Ron. Greg, courts and law enforcement, emergency management.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I only have a very short. Mary Jo at the meeting suggested in the next year budget, here we go, to add an additional 10,000 just in her budget to cover the unknown cost, what it's going to be for secure detention, because that raise the age is coming. It starts October 1. So if something happens, we'd have that to fall back on. Otherwise, it could be pretty dramatic. And we had a big discussion during the committee meeting about the drug task force and the sheriff and the DA. So that's why we brought it here, so everybody could hear it, ask their questions, and make their decisions. I don't think anybody's ready to make a decision right now on whether to fund it or not fund it. I think it'll probably be discussed again in committee this month. And, anybody who has a comment, one way or the other, just let us know. Jerry, I, or Brian, on that one. So that's all I have.
Thanks, Greg. Any questions for Greg? Dick is excused. He has the hospital report. Jerry, CEO, is here. I don't know if you had anything you wanted to mention in lieu of Dick's report.
I'll just share that we've begun the budget building process for the next fiscal year, including extending our 10-year capital budget now that we're completing year 1 and replacing year 1 with the 10th year. And on September 13th, we'll be opening a new neurology clinic, and if you have it, you will shortly be receiving an invitation for a ribbon cutting ceremony. And that would be my report, unless you have questions.
Any questions for Jerry? Great. Moving on to Andrea, transportation, solid waste.
I'm going to start with solid waste. Stan Yancey and Nathan Good have been doing wall repair on the recycling building. And Pete Wood discussed the hours of operation at the Krogan site on Saturday. There seems to be a little problem, people getting there way ahead of time. The hours of operation for the Krogan site are on Saturday from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. And the gate is always open at 8 a.m. For the highway committee, there's a few resolutions in your packet. And Dave made a comment on how the steel from the decks of the bridges that will be used by the trails department, and they are not for sale. The trees have come down at the JCC project and to make room for the water line. And again, we want to thank the highway workers for giving up their time to come and help us out with our project. And that's all I have at this time. Thank you.
Questions for Andrea? Thank you, Andrea.
Andrea, I got a question for you. How's solid waste doing as far as their finance? Have they seen a big jump in their profits because they raised the rates?
No, they are holding their own right now.
Because we don't see that information anymore.
Okay,
in
would
the
you like
minutes.
to see that?
I'd like to see that.
Okay.
The recycling costs. We used to see that all the time in the minutes.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Thank you, Andrea. Moving on to Mr. Ryan, County Manager report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Greg, I can comment on the recycling rates. Actually, we owed, on that hurt, $957.
But that fluctuates anyway. You know, so next month they could owe us $3,000.
Well,
I want to see it break down month by month by
Sure.
month. That's what we used to see, and that's what I think we should see.
Okay.
As Andrew reported, the JCC project is on schedule. The Highway Department, again, I'd like to echo my thanks to everything that they've done down there. The water line is almost all the way installed. We ran into some rock as we approached the project site, And Warren and his crew, and actually with some help from the town of Brogan, have been drilling and blasting that rock to get the water line the rest of the way where it needs to be. So our highway department has basically excavated the site, worked with the surveyors to lay out the buildings, has installed and compacted properly the gravel where we're going to have concrete and pavement. They have taken out the maple trees and installed the water line. And their flexibility on these construction projects is much appreciated. It's more than just bridge and roads and signs down there. These guys have got a lot of wide-ranging knowledge, so it's greatly appreciated. Phase 1 of the project is under contract. DC Builders has agreed to our terms. And Phase 2 is currently out to bid. We remain in touch with our engineers, and everyone is on the same page that our original goal to be open for the spring semester is intact, and we are working towards that. The budget is ahead of schedule. We started a little bit earlier this year. By the end of the week, actually, we will have met with all departments and outside agencies. Most of them have sent in their requests. So by the end of next week, we should have everything in the Tyler Munis system, and that will allow us to see the big picture for the first time, to see really where we're at for 2019. I can tell you that just based on our meetings that we've had and the information that's come in so far, that it is going to be a very tough year. We've got some increases that really are not, are programmatic, that come down from the state, some cuts in state revenue from our social services and public health department that are increases that are outside of our control. So those will be some tough ones to plan for. The things that are inside our control, you'll bet that Patty and I will be doing all that we can to get those expenses down the best that we can. Last week I was able to spend a couple days in Lake Placid with our criminal justice team. The state put on a conference for Raise the Age and using data to better plan and coordinate for outcomes that we're looking for juvenile justice. I would say that the conference was okay, but the real value was getting time outside of our normal work schedule to really discuss these issues and discuss the big picture for juvenile justice in Lewis County. And I want to thank Judge King, Mike Young, Jenny Jones, Carrie Farnbach, and Mary Jo Burkhart for taking their time. I think we had some very productive conversations, and I hope that some of the things that we discussed will find their way into the courtroom and into the discussions with those folks as we, reform our juvenile justice system with the state's new standards. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Hey, Greg, Patty, Treasurer, report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have the balances for this month. Special legislative contingency is at $71,747.75. Regular contingency is at $278,357.23. Capital data processing, $96,967.05. Capital equipment, highway portion, $158,431.24. County portion, $402,873.47. Sales tax to date, $5,679,105.59. We are above budget slightly. Hospital repayment, they are paid in full. And that's all been put into the JCC fund. Internal service fund, I don't have any up-to-date figures on that again, so that's as of the May 31st, and the fund balance is at the $3.6 million. And that's all I have, unless there's any questions for me.
Any questions for Patty? Thank you, Patty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Report of the Ways and Means Committee per Rule 7.
The Ways and Means Committee reports they have examined the claims presented for payment in the total amount of $1,400,353.36. audited and allowed for the amounts claimed.
Need a motion for that. Brian, second by Greg. This is a roll call.
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay, first resolution then is to audit and allow the claims in the amount of $1,400,353.41.
Moved by Brian, second by Jerry. Discussion. All in favor?
Roll call then.
News here somewhere.
Okay. Burns.
Yes.
King.
Yes.
Causer.
Yes.
Bushos.
Yes.
Lehman.
Yes.
Howerhand.
Yes.
Mosier.
Yes.
Osborne.
Yes.
Plowhawk.
Yes.
Resolution to transfer funds building codes.
Moved by Brian, second by Greg. Discussion. In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Authorizing intermunicipal agreement between county and county agreement for flood plain damage prevention, administration, and enforcement.
Moved by John, second by Jerry. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Set a public hearing to obtain community input for Lewis County Housing Rehabilitation Program.
Moved by Randy, second by Jerry. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Authorizing application for 2018 Small Cities Community Development Block Grant.
Moved by Tom, second by Randy. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
To appropriate funds, District Attorney.
Moved by Brian, second by John. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
To transfer funds, Fire and Emergency Management Department.
Moved by Brian, second by John. Discussion. Randy?
Could you just reiterate what this was for insurance?
It's a
recovery?
For the vehicle.
For the vehicle, yeah, got damaged.
Deer accident, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Rear-ended actually.
We're ready.
Yeah, it happened early in the year, actually, and we got the insurance recovery, and now we're just appropriating that money's where it needs to be.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Approve agreement between the County Highway Department and Foy Albert Architecture, Engineering, and Surveying.
Moved by Jerry, second by Brian. Discussion. In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Authorizing intermunicipal agreement with Town of Lewis for transfer of tractor mower for services.
Moved by Ron, second by Brian. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
To appropriate funds, Transportation Department.
Moved by John, second by Brian. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
To appropriate funds, Transportation Department.
Moved by John, second by Jerry. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Authorizing addendum to agreement with Atlantic Testing Laboratories to provide professional inspection and construction materials, engineering, and testing services.
Moved by Greg, second by Andrea. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
To transfer funds, Legislative.
Moved by John, second by Andrea. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
To appropriate funds, Office for the Aging.
Moved by Tom, second by Ron. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
To transfer funds, Office for the Aging.
Moved by Andrea, second by Jerry. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
To appropriate funds, Office for the Aging.
Moved by Tom, second by Andrea. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Appointing member to Planning Board, Gary Weskowski.
Moved by Jerry, second by Andrea. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
To transfer funds, Probation.
Moved by Ron, second by Craig. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Authorizing an agreement between Public Health and Epoch Health Solutions.
Moved by John, second by Andrea. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
To transfer funds, Public Health.
Moved by Ron, second by Jerry. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
To transfer funds, Public Health.
Moved by Andrea, second by Jerry. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Fixing date of public hearing to add property to the ATV trail system, Turkish Family Irrevocable Trust.
Moved by Ron, second by Tom. Discussion.
Jackie, is this within the Adirondack Park, this property?
Part of the property, yes.
Part of it
The
is.
line goes through.
Have you heard anything?
We've applied and that's what
Okay.
we're hearing.
I'm just curious because of all the emails I've been getting on that local government board with the Boreas Pond trails and all that. I'm just kind of curious. Pretty much they really don't give two hoots about us down here so much, it don't seem like, so.
We've had other lots in to AK for approval since spring and we still have not heard back.
Do you know what those are? Can you give me a list of them? And then I can bring that, even if I can't make the meeting, I can get a hold of the chairperson for that and have it brought up for discussion. Okay, if you can give me a list of them and maybe they can move that along.
We have 3 in Lewis County that we're waiting.
Okay, all right, yeah, if you can give me a list of them, then maybe I can call him sometime and talk to him about them, okay?
Thank you.
Good talk, Lorraine. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
To award bid to Rock Bottom Well Drilling for the Singing Waters Park Revitalization Project.
Moved by Ron, second by Jerry. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Authorizing an emergency communication system programming agreement between the county and authorized program vendors, United Radio and Kastner Communications.
Moved by Jerry, second by Tom. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
To transfer funds, social services.
Moved by John, second by Ron. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Authorizing an agreement between DSS and Cayuga Home for Children.
Moved by John, second by Andrea. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
To appropriate funds for social services.
Moved by Randy, second by John. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
authorizing an agreement between DSS and the House of the Good Shepherd.
Moved by Andrea, second by John. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Authorizing an agreement between Lewis County Hospital Occupational Medicine and Lewis County Self-Insurance Plan.
Moved by Ron, second by Randy. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
And one late resolution is to appoint Superintendent of Highways Warren Shaw.
Moved by Andrea, second by Tom. Discussion.
Oh, can I say something?
Sure.
I would just like to congratulate Warren, and also I want to tell you that he is interviewing for a deputy.
Very good. John?
I know we had talked about if Warren got appointed, paying for his blasting license and his training for that. I don't know how you want to handle that, or
Anything for other people?
We've never had
anyone here that had that license. So we always have to hire one more to do it.
You wanna make that a motion?
I would love to.
Okay, we have a motion, second by Andrea.
So this is
Discussion.
to pay for Warren's blasting
License and training for that. The town of Grogan always did, and it well paid for, so.
This one, we ought to get the training class, right, so we could get the revenue for that.
Put fireworks on.
There'll be a training class out at the JCC site today.
There you go.
Thursday, there we go.
You can be the planter.
Mr. Chairman, just so, I believe we did a motion last year under Dave to allow Warren to do that, so this would really be a continuation of what we had done.
Oh, okay. Fantastic, thank you.
Thanks, John.
Any further discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
That concludes resolution.
Okay, any other business?
Mr. Chairman, I have, Ryan, I talked to Peter Keys yesterday. So, what I'm asking the board, okay, the EPA has been doing the hazmat mitigation work at the old Cheese Plant plant.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think they're close to being completed with that, possibly.
We have a conference call set up with
Okay.
Gary Bowich on that for
But
next
where I'm
week.
going with this is that there's some neighbors around there that are concerned with me being that everything is cleaned up. They have an issue with rats at that facility. So with everything being cleaned up, now the rats aren't gonna have their great source of food anymore with this cleanup. So the neighbors are concerned that they might, so what I'm asking is if we can possibly agree to put out an RFP to see what it would cost us to go ahead, the county to go ahead and have someone come in and exterminate the rodents. So if I would have your support on that.
We don't have access yet.
We don't have access,
We do not
okay,
have
so then
access
we
yet, so
do
we
have
couldn't
access.
do that right now,
Okay.
unless we went around the perimeter,
Okay.
and did something like that, which would mean we'd have to get the.
Well, I think we better wait until we
Yeah,
have access, but if I could
Yeah.
have your support on that, because I'm assuming after that's cleaned up, then I'm assuming we'll.
So Brian, we'll know
Yeah.
more next week, and then Frank and I and Rhino will fill you in on where the
Okay.
EPA is, and then what our next steps would be to gain access.
Okay, all right.
Do you know what they've done, Joan? Have
Yes.
they done a bunch of soil samples?
I'm not sure, I'll find out about that, but they did remove numerous barrels that had,
Mercury.
whey and other kinds of things. They have checked on locations of oil tanks.
Where did
They've
they-
removed, mercury.
Yeah, from inside the plant.
Yeah, and that's why we have this call set up next week to find out what the status of what else they've done and what else they're planning to do.
The questions I would ask them, and I know, and I was thinking this the other day, is to make sure that they do some soil tests.
Yeah, they need to do some boring.
Yeah, some boring,
Up on the flat there, you know where you have as you get up on top and it flattens off, off to the left-hand side towards that shed and shack.
Yeah.
They need to go all along right there because they buried a bunch of shit there.
Yeah, they have done soil borings out there.
How deep did they go?
Soil samples,
Yeah, but how deep?
We'll find out.
Yeah,
We'll
we're
see.
not sure.
Because
Yeah.
they backfilled that quite a bit, Frank. I know. I was there.
Yeah.
They buried the tanks.
But just so you know,
Yeah.
I've also been contacted with some people who are interested in the property, so.
There's a magic drain to the river too up there.
A what?
Magic drain to the river.
That ain't magic. I saw a lot of weight go down there. When I worked there.
Well,
lot of
apparently the
trickle
way,
effect.
way is not as harmful as many of us think. Of all things that could be contaminating
Right.
the water,
Right.
that's the least offensive,
Exactly.
so, that can clear itself, so hopefully we'll be able to do
It
something.
does take effect, it does affect
That's why it was good
DOT
fishing
and
right there.
COD.
We had a lot of food.
There was a lot of weight went down there.
Maybe some big fish are growing.
Yeah, they were. Need Brian for $25 a hide. I'll go get them rats.
I'll let Peter Keys know.
There you go.
So,
You don't get that for beaver now.
when they complete that project, do we own the property? Does the property get
No,
turned over
we
to
would
us?
then have to take a look at,
Okay.
do that other step in our foreclosure where we ask the court for a temporary order to get access to, assess the environmental hazards.
From what I
that are
understand, the EPA has been trying to bill whoever it is.
Yes.
And I don't think they're getting anywhere with them, so
Right.
imagine that.
Right.
He said he was gonna put it in the account.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll keep your thoughts on the list of items when that process moves forward.
Thank you.
Any other business? Motion to adjourn. John, second. Ron, all in favor? We stand adjourned.